Good morning, everyone. This is Lolly, and today I wanted to show you some lace that I made. My friend Karen was making this and was explaining it to me, and I had never seen any videos about it. And this is caulking used in a mold. So here you go. This is the caulking I use. It's DAP, Alex Fast Dry, and it says acrylic, latex, plus silicone. That's important, and so it's also important to make sure you have a silicone mold. What you don't want is your caulking and your mold being made out of the same thing. So if it's 100% silicone and a silicone mold, they will basically fuse together and you'll ruin your mold. The other thing is, if you have this is not really silicone. See how it's not floppy like this is? This is like a hard plastic. This also won't work in this. Again, two similar properties. You want to make sure that it's a blend and that it works in a silicone mold. Okay, so let me put that aside there. And I love it. This is fast dry because it makes it so much quicker. This is just a small tube. They do make bigger ones. Just squeeze it liberally on there, and you kind of need something to flatten that out with too. So here we go. Get it in there. And we're going to smush it in all the grooves. I'm going to leave this open because I'm probably going to need a little more. You just want to smash it down into all of the grooves in there. Make sure you get an even coat. It's not going to be pretty at first. There you go. And when I did one yesterday, I did let it dry for about 12 hours, but the tube says that it dries in 20 minutes. I don't know. It did seem like it wanted to release earlier than that, but I just wanted to give it the extra benefit of the doubt and make sure that I had it in there long enough. So those of you who've done this before probably know that it will come out earlier than that. Oops. Okay. You do want to make sure that you clean up really well when you're done with this. Looks like I don't need any more. I've got plenty. Matter of fact, I probably have too much in here. You can't put it back in the tube, can you? I'm just going around and make sure I got a good coat in there, and then we want to scrape off the excess. Well, there's not enough there. It's kind of fun. It's like plastering a wall almost. You don't have to get it perfectly smooth. And I did notice too yesterday that after I did this, after about an hour, I noticed that the silicone maybe it had shrunk, but it had hollowed down a tiny bit into the mold where it was not flat anymore. It was more concave. So I went back and added another thin layer of the caulk. And I think that's about it for now. Then I would just set that aside to dry. The other thing is you probably want to do this on a piece of paper instead of on a cutting mat. And I personally am just going to clean up my mat right away and my little knife here. You do want to make sure you clean up all your messes. Don't let this sit to dry on something that can be ruined, okay? You don't want that caulk hardening. Okay, I'm going to let this harden and come back and work on the video some more. We'll see you then. Okay, I'm back. This has been drying about 8 hours. If you notice on the tube it says that it dries in 20 minutes, but that's when you're using it as caulk on a counter. 20 minutes until you can touch it and even paint it. But when you're using it in a mold and you want it to release from the mold, you need a few more hours than that. And a thin mold like this, 8 hours should be sufficient. And I've kind of peeled it up to see if it's going to come out. It looks like it will. But you'll also notice that we have some white, like in between this fuzzy white here in the tiny holes of lace. And we want to remove that. So I'm going to use some alcohol to rub that off. And I think this is called hazing that we're removing. And just a note on alcohol, you'll notice that this says 91% alcohol. This one, if you notice, says 50% because this is dollar store alcohol. Keep in mind what you're buying from a dollar store isn't real, okay? So alcohol, it's 50% water and 50% alcohol. If you really want rubbing alcohol, get it from a reputable store. Now, normally I don't use baby wipes and paper towels and things like that in my crafting because I feel like it's wasteful, and I tend to use handy wipes and things that I can rewash or sponges. But in this case, I'm going to use a piece of paper towel, and the reason being, as you're wiping this off, your cloth is going to be full of silicone, hard silicone. You do this caulking. You don't want to rinse that down your sink, and your plumber and your husband or whoever will appreciate that you're not putting that down the sink pipe. So in this case, you're going to need something that's disposable, like an old rag or a piece of this paper towel. And wouldn't you know, I didn't get my alcohol bottle open. I just finished my last bottle, so I have to open this one up. Okay, and it's not going to take much, and we're not going to just drown it in alcohol, so we're going to be careful here. Okay, just put that on there, flip it upside down, and then just start rubbing. And get when you'll see so you can see the pink of the mold again instead of a lot of white fuzzy stuff where you don't want it. Again, it doesn't take much, and then I set it aside to dry again once I've done this. And saying a lot. But since alcohol dries very quickly, I'm talking like a matter of 5 minutes, I know it should be good enough for me to come in here and remove that from its mold. Okay, almost a little bit more of this little fuzzy stuff in there. Okay, yeah, I can see little balls of the caulk on the paper towel, and that's exactly what we don't want to rinse down the pipes by using a washable rag. There you go, and it's still smaller than a baby wipe there. Okay, there you go, nice and clean. And I can see all the holes perfectly except for that one right there. Looks good. I'm going to set it aside to dry, and I'll be back to remove it from the mold. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes actually since I did the alcohol on this. You'll notice that it's starting to peel up from the edges here, so it's pretty safe that we can pull it out. One thing with these, this is a pretty good pattern, but there are some, like I noticed when people are taking theirs out and it's a butterfly and has an antenna on it, those antennas are so tiny they tend to rip. So it seems like the best plan would be to always pull toward the center of the mold. So if you have an antenna, pull it down toward the mold, and if the antennas are sticking up, don't pull the butterfly this way and leave the antennas behind. So once that's completely dry like that, you can always paint them if you want, or use them just like that. It just kind of feels like a vinyl rubbery thing. And you can use spray paints. This is a Krylon would work. And you can use acrylic paints. It's a little more difficult with an acrylic paint because of all the holes. When you get it really wet, the holes fill with paint. So if you lay down a cloth underneath that, some kind of a rag, and use a stiffer brush instead of, like, this one's super soft, I would not use that, but a stiffer, older brush, and don't drown it in the paint, but really work it in there with the stiffer brush, and then turn it over and get the excess off of there. You can clear away most of those bubbles, and the purpose of the cloth underneath here, or if you're a paper towel person, paper towel, something dry so that the excess paint, as you're putting it in there, soaks into that and doesn't stay filled into all the holes. So I hope that is helpful advice there. Make sure you rinse this out immediately when you're done. So I wanted to show you too an example of the use of one of these in a pocket letter. And this right down here, the bells, is one of these silicone caulk molds. Isn't that beautiful? So that's a Christmas one. And I just think the possibilities are endless, and I have ordered some molds now that are strips of lace. I'm looking forward to getting those. So let me know if you've been doing these and what you've discovered with making yours. I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you so much for giving me a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. Bye-bye.